Hi, thanks for watching. We're about to record our initial reactions here to Once Upon a Time's episode Unforgiven. Please check out our regular audio podcast over at oncepodcast.com to subscribe in iTunes or your favorite podcast player of choice. That way you can get every episode, and especially our full discussion episodes where we go into a lot more detail than we go here. But if you watch this video, please comment below to let us know that you're here. You're listening to Once, episode 182, Unforgiven, Initial Reactions. Welcome back to another episode of One. Let me say that again. Another episode?
It's an episode if it's a podcast about Disney's Up.
Yeah.
Which would be
that'd
short.
be clever. Welcome back to another episode of Once, the unofficial podcast for ABC's TV show Once Upon a Time. I'm Daniel J. Lewis.
I'm Jeremy Laughlin.
Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for voting us. Let me just try that again. Welcome back to another episode of Once, the unofficial podcast for ABC's TV show Once Upon a Time. I'm Daniel J. Lewis.
I'm Jeremy Laughlin.
And we are so glad to have you listening. And we would love to have you also voting for us in the podcast awards at oncepodcast.com/podcast awards. But I'll tell you more about that later on. We just finished watching this episode, Unforgiven, which the title, I think, didn't quite make sense until near the very end, which that's often the way that they do it.
Who was Unforgiven?
I think it is Snow White and Prince Charming who are unforgiven.
Maybe a lot of not forgiveness going around.
Because Regina was forgiven, or at least she apologized.
True.
Asking forgiveness is kind of different.
That's true. Different. She didn't really do that.
But it was cool to see her make a genuine apology. When she had that little temper tantrum, I thought, she's going to apologize for that later.
Right.
Watch, because we know Regina now. Regina is changed. Regina is different. Regina is, no longer the evil queen.
I love that we haven't heard her say something terrible in a long time. And when she does, it's like now I'm not always the evil queen anymore. But when I am, it's to a little child.
Put that on an internet meme poster. By the way, these are just our initial reactions. So we are going to be a bit all over the place with our thoughts and theories. And we'll tell you more about how you can send us your thoughts and theories about this episode later on in the podcast. I think that this setup here of making Maleficent lose her baby is a bit of an odd one.
Yeah, clearly there's a lot more to the story.
I was kind of theorizing a little bit in my mind. I didn't think it was a significant enough theory, but I was thinking, what if Maleficent was maybe pregnant at one point and Snow caused her to lose the baby, or injured Maleficent and made her not be able to give birth, or maybe Snow also prevented Maleficent from getting her true love along with Aurora. They like teamed up and prevented Maleficent's happy ending. And it's a baby thing. So
it's a baby thing.
We've seen all kinds of not happy endings related to babies, and happy endings pursued based on babies. Like Zelena stole Prince Charming and Snow White's baby so she could have her happy ending.
That she didn't get because she was once a baby.
Yeah.
Well, not just because of that, but because of what happened when she was a baby.
And because she was a baby, she didn't get her happy ending.
A tree throwing
the way she
baby.
wanted to.
It's true.
So a lot of things around babies.
So many people have been babies
like
at some point in their lives. It just follows.
And some people, speaking of being babies once again in their lives, no, this is not a segue to the sponsors. I know you were probably thinking that.
I was.
But
he's not a baby.
It was cool to see August again.
Pinocchio. Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Pinocchio, who is never at this point, he doesn't remember the name August, so we can stop calling him that.
Yeah,
I
and
say.
I was
But
glad that they stayed consistent with that because I was thinking, no, please don't do this thing where he remembers and all of that when he didn't remember before when he was turned
right.
into a boy. In case you blotted that memory out of your mind, it happened in the episode Selfless, Brave, and True. Yeah, that episode. That's when he was turned back into a boy and didn't remember any of the August stuff. And I'm glad they didn't stick with that. I was kind of hoping when they mentioned August that at some point we'd get to see August again.
But how would that have happened?
Right. At least not in this episode. We might get to see that, I think, in some upcoming episode.
We need
This is just
August.
theory.
Steal his childhood again.
Maybe we'll get to see a flashback of August.
I'm okay either way.
Something with the writer learning about the writer, whatever. Because Henry has found a clue in the book. I'm really excited to go back in the high definition version that we purchased from iTunes and then share with our audience in our full discussions coming up. I'm really excited to go back and see what was that thing. We saw a door and it seemed like there was a sticky note on the page. I didn't quite see it because we watch on this tiny little TV in standard
Didn't it just say
definition.
author?
Did it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
think so.
So now they're going to be looking for the door.
The door that looked like it was in a certain hat. Just to me, that was my initial impression.
Oh, that would be cool. If
Yeah,
it's-
since we're bringing back all the people that we've known are still in Storybrooke for years, but we haven't seen. Got to see Pinocchio. We got to see Geppetto.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to see Jefferson again, or at least Jefferson's hat.
Jefferson or his hat, you know. We miss them both.
I want to compare now screenshots. We'll do that for our full discussion episode, comparing screenshots of that picture of the door and pictures of the hat, because I want to look at the wallpaper or the texture of the walls and the patterns from around that door and
Compared to old
around
screenshots, maybe?
Yeah, it's old screenshots of the hat from previous episodes that we've seen. So that would be really cool. And we'd love to have your feedback for that. So please email us, feedback@oncepodcast.com, or you can call and leave a voicemail at 903-231-2221, or send a voice message through the website at oncepodcast.com. By the way, if you use the podcast app for iOS, which is what we recommend using, subscribe to us in iTunes, please, then you can actually just tap on the cover art and you'll see our contact information there, and you can tap it and call right then 24/7, leave a voicemail, send a voice message, send an email, anything like that, right from your mobile device, and that makes it really easy for you. But we'd love your feedback for the upcoming full discussion of our episode, which is now, those full discussions are at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, GMT -4, at oncepodcast.com/live. We'd love for you to be part of that. Jeremy, what do you think is going on now between Belle and Will?
Like, he walked into one scene and I don't even remember what happened, and then the next thing you know, he's with Belle.
Yeah.
Did they kiss, or what did it just look like they did?
Initially, I thought, oh, Gold is going to see something that he's going to think is like romantic affection. Maybe they're just going to hug because Will says something nice like, "I'm sorry you lost Mr. Gold." And she's like, "Oh, thank you." And then gives him a hug. But no, I'm convinced that looked like a kiss.
Well, that's kind of strange.
Yeah. But then if it is really a kiss, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're leading us on too, if it was really a kiss, then that means that Will's girl, Anastasia from Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, must be completely gone and dead.
What if she's just mostly dead?
Well, we're dealing with that already with Maleficent.
Well, they've opened that door.
Yeah.
I shan't harp on it yet.
They've bled on that dust, so to speak.
But they have opened a dangerous door for their storyline. Dead's supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
They've killed her twice.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
At least the last time gives a little bit of precedent for this, because they're like, well, actually she was a woman, or maybe she's just a dragon, or maybe now she's more like a wraith. Let's just
I
call her Trogdor and be done with it.
I like how they did that great computer generated imagery of her turning back through all of these different stages that we've seen Maleficent,
Yeah.
or at least, I mean, like different, completely different forms, where it's,
At least they're
yeah,
acknowledging the
Wraith, like,
past.
yeah, Maleficent that looks great in earth tones, and then Dragon Maleficent, and then back to Maleficent, or Angelina Jolie Maleficent.
Angelina Jolie, Maleficent. I think they're just like, let's forget that whole curly blonde look. We just like the traditional look now. They want us to put that out of our heads.
Yeah, I I still really hope they help explain that better.
The hair?
Yeah, the hair, the style, the
Oh.
mood, the makeup.
It was in the first 4 episodes. What do you want?
Yeah. Well, they did refer to that they did at least tell us about Regina's going and stealing the curse from Maleficent. They
Yeah.
reminded us of that.
I like the tie-ins. They're keeping fairly consistent.
I mentioned this after we finished watching the show, but I was really worried that what they were going to say, this big secret that they want wanting to keep from Emma, was something like, she's not actually our baby.
Yeah.
And if they did that, that would have ruined the best scene ever from Once Upon a Time. That whole Snow White birthing Emma, and then Charming taking baby Emma and doing the sword fight and putting baby Emma in the wardrobe. Best scenes ever in Once Upon a Time. I still think those are the best things. So much emotion, so much awesomeness going on, sword fights, emotions, baby, and all of this stuff. They would have ruined that, but I'm so glad they didn't do that.
As am I.
This thing, though, of we just don't want Emma to know we made mistakes in the past.
No, I
Come
don't know.
on. What parent hasn't made mistakes? I mean, yeah, it's one thing to tell your kids the details of your mistakes, but I think to try to maintain this image that you're perfect and you've always been heroes, that's a bit much. And Emma's a big girl. She can handle it.
Yeah. And talk about segue. They could have walked in during that last scene and been like, actually, yeah, we did lie. But we're fixing it. You don't have to push us. We're fixing it today. Right
Yeah.
now, today. Only now they're making it worse.
Or that whole
As they
thing
do.
that Emma was saying to Hook, they could have said, or assumed that Emma would apply that same thing to them instead of thinking, oh, Emma's not going to give us that same grace that she gives Hook. Speaking of Hook, what do you think went on between Hook and Ursula? It's more than break her heart.
Something worse.
Like,
Maybe he chopped off a tentacle
and grew his own personal Ursula.
and served it for dinner. Maybe. No. I'm sure in August tradition, they're going to make us wait.
I thought they'd make us wait to see what was in the box.
I thought they'd make us wait to find out the charming secret.
That being a baby rattler? Oh, that's painful.
That was creepy.
Yeah.
Creepy and sad. Don't make us feel sorry for Maleficent. We thought the worst thing she lost was her horse.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, speaking of feeling sorry,
And losing horses.
you make us not have to feel sorry.
Or lose horses.
Exactly. Because wild horses could not drag us away from this podcast.
Ooh, nicely done.
But you help make it even stronger for us to not be dragged away. And that is with your kind contributions to the podcast, your donations. We are very grateful for your support. Special thanks for this episode to David Newland, Steve Johnson, and Lisa Slack. Thank you very much for your kind monthly donations. You hear these names a lot because they do donate a lot and over and over and over. So pretty much just assume every episode is sponsored by at least these three, and we have others frequently too, who give what they can, and we really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Donations of every amount really help keep the podcast running. Like even right now, I'm in this process of moving all of the websites over to a server, because even as we are recording this, I am keeping an eye, this screen over here that no one can see when I'm pointing to,
I
but
can see it.
I am keeping an eye on our web server and frequently rebooting it because of all of the traffic it's getting right now. It keeps crashing, so we need to upgrade that. But with your kind donations, we're able to upgrade that. And we're also very grateful for our 11 backers on Patreon, some of them contributing maybe 25 cents per episode. Some of them, it might be $1 or $20. Thank you very much for your kind donations. If you would like to be one of these sponsors and donate to the podcast to keep it running, then please go to oncepodcast.com/sponsor. You can sign up for an automatic monthly donation, a one-time donation, a per episode donation, whatever works for you. We would be very grateful for it. That's at oncepodcast.com/sponsor. The one other way that you could support us that doesn't cost you anything, just time, and it only takes a couple minutes per day, is if you would vote for Once Podcast and the other shows that we have in the podcast awards. This is the chance to show how awesome you are. Please go to oncepodcast.com/podcast awards for the details, but I'll give you the quick synopsis of it. Once Podcast has been nominated for Best Produced Podcast. Also, we have other podcasts on Noodle.mx network that have been nominated under other categories. Under business, we have Beyond the To-Do List. Under general, we have The Productive Woman. Under technology, we have The Audacity to Podcast. And under religion inspiration, we have Are You Just Watching? 5 podcasts total are award finalists there, and we would love to have your support. So please go to oncepodcast.com/podcast awards. And in case you're wondering, what other podcasts could you vote for in other categories? We have some listed there, some of our friends who are also podcasters and finalists. And we'd love for you to support them too. So check it out at oncepodcast.com/podcast awards. Sign up for the daily email reminders to vote. And when you do that, you get a free compliment every day, a new compliment to make you feel good that day. I'm serious.
Oh.
Every email starts with a new compliment. So make sure you open that email to see what the compliment is for that day.
Wow.
That's at oncepodcast.com/podcast awards. We'd be very grateful for your support over there. Vote every day through March 24th. oncepodcast.com/podcast awards. And thank you for your support. You are awesome. I'm still holding out hope that we get to see August, especially with having the book, the pages. It was really cool to see things of August, or maybe just one thing. Like we saw how the pages were different. That's one thing.
That was kind of strange for me, actually. I mean, it was nice for them to acknowledge that part of the story, but having the pages be different was a little strange.
I was really excited about that part because I felt like this is exactly what we were theorizing about in the previous episode of our podcast. And we don't watch the spoilers, so we didn't know what was coming. I was really excited. I mean, that was a big highlight of this episode for me. And also seeing August's motorcycle. Awesome. It'd be cool if maybe there are clues inside of August's typewriter as well. And then we get to see that.
Inside the typewriter.
Yeah, or inside the box. And they see the little note there that says, I know you're Bellfire. Still left there.
See, personally, I don't need to revisit the August days. I've moved on. But did you not think during that montage, that closing montage, that Henry was about to discover something to make him lose faith in his mother? The way the dialogue and the way the music and the way he was looking through everything, I thought he was about to uncover some horrendous thing that she did that he didn't know about that somehow changed his opinion of her. I didn't expect it to be a good thing that he found.
I thought there might be some reaction like that to her losing her temper, but I was happy to see how she made up with that.
I think she should apologize to Pinocchio.
Yeah, she should.
Good grief, woman. Surprised she didn't get out of Fireball.
Yeah, she was really going evil then.
What's the significance? Is there a significance to the time that was on the clock? Snow's clock.
23, maybe, and the number 8. those are
Eh,
numbers from Lost, not in that order. I mean, it would have been better if it was 8:23, but that wouldn't seem as weird, I guess. But
seemed like she goes to bed real early these days.
4, 8, 15, 16, 23,
Yeah.
42 were the numbers from Lost. And so we had two of those numbers in that, 23 and 8.
Yeah, it was like 238.
238,
So
yeah.
if it was lost numbers, nice try.
It was hidden in there, kind of. Maybe, maybe not.
I mean, they could have gotten a similar effect just by putting her clock on military time,
True.
but no one would have understood.
Yeah, that actually, yeah.
So if there's another connection that we're not thinking of to 238, let us know.
She was thinking, oh, I need to switch the clock forward because it's daylight saving time now.
That caused her whole nightmare, actually.
It causes a lot of nightmares for a lot of people.
Yeah.
We hope you've survived daylight saving time switch.
If you're in the United States or somewhere else that observes it at this time.
And regardless, please email us your thoughts and theories. Send us them through voicemail or call and leave a voicemail on our phone line, through the website, anything like that. Also, please chat in our forums over at oncepodcast.com/forums, where you can share theories, comment on other people's theories and ideas. And it's a great way to join the community and be part of this tight-knit group of raving fans for Once Upon a Time. Some of them, yes, have criticisms, and you're welcome to share yours
They
too.
rave,
But
positive or negative.
it's a great place, and there's almost always someone in the forums. There's a chat room over there too, so you can find out, is anyone still awake and here? I want to talk about my favorite TV show.
It's 2:38. Does anybody want to talk about Once Upon a Time?
Had a bad dream. Can I tell you about it? I am really surprised how many people say, and this is awesome though, but how many people say, there's no one else I can talk about Once Upon a Time to. None of my friends watch it. None of my family like the show. But I really like the show. And they say that's why they love the community so much, because this gives them a place to hear conversation about their favorite TV show or one of their favorites, and also connect with other people who love the show just as much as they do. So check that out at oncepodcast.com/forums. It's completely free to join. You can log in with multiple social accounts or create your own username and password there. We've made it as easy as possible for you to get in and to be spam free too. So check that out, oncepodcast.com. For everything we've mentioned, thank you very much for your support and for listening, for sending us your feedback, for being part of this community. Please connect with us on Twitter at oncepodcast, and each of us individually. I'm Daniel J. Lewis on Twitter at the Ramen Noodle.
I'm Jeremy Laughlin on Twitter at Phlegon. That's PHLEGON.
You can comment on the show notes for this episode at oncepodcast.com/182. And until next time, remember, your child might turn out to be just like us. And thanks for listening. Once Podcast is a proud member of Noodle.mx Network. Find more of our award-winning and award-nominated podcasts to make you think, laugh, and succeed at Noodle.mx. Big thanks to our sponsors for this episode of the podcast. If you'd like to be one of them, then please go to oncepodcast.com/sponsor. If you don't have any money, then please go to oncepodcast.com/podcast awards and support us in the podcast awards, because you are that awesome. Thank you.